Another busy weekend there. Real Salt Lake with a 3-1 away win over San Diego. Chucky Lozano scored from the penalty spot for San Diego, but Diego Luna scored twice for RSL. He has, to borrow a Matt Doyle term, leveled up this season. He's looking like one of the best players in MLS.
It's a glow up, right? Is that what it is? I don't know. I mean, he is in his moment right now. And sometimes when everybody starts talking about you, especially if you're a younger, less experienced player, it can be difficult to accept that. And then there's others, and I think that's what Luna is here, that are kind of living up to their reputation and their larger-than-life personality and enjoying it and embracing it. And so that's what you're seeing. And he came into San Diego. And San Diego, we knew, was going to go up and down, as most teams do, and certainly as expansion teams do. But this was a big performance from a guy, when it comes to Diego Luna, that I think we're going to be talking about, especially over the next couple of years relative to the World Cup, and how he has kind of burst on the scene. And it hasn't felt like a burden to him. As a matter of fact, I think he likes the spotlight. And as we always say, if you want to be a star, stars step up when everybody is waiting there with their arms folded saying, all right, do something. And in this case, he certainly did.
Nashville hosted Chicago. Fun managerial matchup. BJ Callahan against Greg Berhalter, and it was all Nashville. They won 7-2. Surge with 4 goals. Mukhtar got 2.
It was insane, this game. Chicago, again, kind of like Spurs, they should have just said, all right, we shouldn't even have gotten on the airplane. And I know people are going to look at the BJ Callahan versus Greg Berhalter. Chicago has gotten better already with Greg Berhalter, but this is not a good look. It's not a good look for him, and obviously for Chicago. Great look for Nashville and BJ Callahan. And it was just one of those days where everything they touched went in the back of the net, and they just kept coming. Sam Surge, he scored penalties. He scored from the run of play. He was everywhere. And it's probably where you go back and you say, I don't know how I'm ever going to be able to replicate that type of thing, because just all of the stars aligned in a moment where Nashville put a touchdown and an extra point against them.
Before we get to Vancouver and Inter Miami, I have to ask you about 2 struggling clubs. Atlanta got drilled by Orlando 3-0, just 2 wins in 10 games, 12th in the East. The Galaxy lost to Portland, winless in 10, last in the West for them.
Yeah, I think the story of the Galaxy is even, I guess, worse than the story of Atlanta. But both of these teams have kind of positioned themselves as super clubs. If any super club out there was experiencing what Atlanta, and maybe even more so what the Galaxy are experiencing right now, they would make a change when it comes to the head coach job. Now, when it comes to the Galaxy, this is an MLS Cup winning team from 2024, right? And it's amazing the fall from grace of this team, obviously led by Greg Vanney. And as we said last week, the excuses of the restrictions and the changes that are inevitable for any successful team in MLS, given the manufactured parity, they only get you so far. You should not be sitting in last place. There are plenty of MLS Cup winning teams that the following year, while they may have had to make changes and while they may have experienced injuries, they were still able to be competitive and to be consistently competitive. You don't have to be the best team in the league. You don't have to even win MLS Cup again. But to go from winning MLS Cup to now being statistically the worst team in the league, yeah, that's a problem. And big clubs, super clubs, they would not stand for it.
Vancouver, 3-1 away win over Minnesota. Berhalter got 1, Vite got 2. Both of them had come on as subs because Vancouver rotated their lineup initially. Vancouver all alone in first place in the West, continuing their sensational campaign. I know we're going to talk about Berhalter in a minute.
Yeah, but just, what they are doing. Oh, and keep in mind, and we're going to talk about Concacaf Champions Cup here in a second, there is an eye to what is coming this week. And, the big games that both Vancouver have and Miami. And yet, as I just mentioned when it came to the Los Angeles Galaxy, you got to be able to adjust. And you have to be able to have depth in order to adjust. And you have to be able, even at times, to rotate players. And certainly this was the case when it came to Vancouver. And they come into Minnesota. Minnesota's not a great team this year in terms of scoring goals. And they, again, struggled to score goals. But this Vancouver team, from start to finish, I think a lot of people were waiting for them to have a moment when it wasn't going to work. But man, oh man, They are not only good when it comes to MLS, but have shown themselves to be very good when it comes to the international tournaments right now. So all kudos to Vancouver for going in and getting the 3 points in a week where they would be forgiven from looking ahead to Concacaf Champions Cup.
Inter Miami heavily rotated their lineup and promptly suffered their first MLS defeat of the campaign, 4-3 at home to Dallas in a crazy game. None of Messi, Suarez, Busquets, or Alba played. Their goals were scored by Pico, Obando, and Martinez. Moore, Urogide, Julio, and Pedrinho scored for Dallas.
Yeah, so there's part of me, I try to put myself in the shoes of an Inter Miami season ticket holder, right? You pay to see this team. You pay to see this team that has been sold to you in every sense of the word on a consistent basis for the stars that they have, obviously Messi and company. And yet you go out, home game, so this is your home stadium, you go out and you see this team, and it bears very little resemblance to what the full team is. And I'm not saying that there isn't moments where players are going to have to rest. We've even seen Messi at times rest because of whatever injury he may have or just being tired. I get that. But I do think that Inter Miami, you have a responsibility when you are playing, certainly when you're playing at home, and more so when you are playing at home, to give the people what they have paid their money for, and that is a quality team. And maybe they thought that they could find a way past Dallas with this different version of the team and a lesser version of the team. But that's disrespectful to a team like Dallas, and Dallas made them pay. And you sent everybody home saying this was not worthy of our best quality. And what does that say to somebody who is going to buy, hope is going to continue to buy season tickets? Oh, and by the way, continue to buy season tickets when Messi is no longer there in the future.
Next up for Inter Miami on Wednesday, live on FS1, John and Stu on the call. They will host Vancouver in the second leg of the Concacaf Champions Cup semis, looking to overturn a 2-0 deficit. Last week at BC Place, Vancouver prevailed thanks to goals by Brian White in the first half, Sebastian Berhalter in the second half in front of more than 50,000 at BC Place. Berhalter looking like one of the best midfielders in MLS this season. I know you got asked a question on X about him. Should the U.S. men's national team call up Sebastian Berhalter with Pochettino having replaced his father, yep, Greg? And you said yes.
Yeah, so it's relative to where we are right now. And I think you would agree with me that there is consternation out there and there is concern. And as we said, we've used the word apathy out there when it comes to this national team. What that means is there is opportunity. There's opportunity for change. It should be said that that second goal that Vancouver got at home against Miami was huge because there is away goals. And so Miami's got to be really, really careful. Can they come back? Absolutely. In the second game down there in Miami. But when we start to see, the Brian Whites, and in this case, this question was about Sebastian Berhalter. Sebastian Berhalter, speaking of players that have improved from year to year, this is a guy who has done so. And is he flashy? No. Is he even a game changer when it comes to potentially here with the national team? No. But I think he's worth a flyer on for Mauricio Pochettino coming into this summer for a Gold Cup with the understanding that ultimately you're going to be judged next summer in the actual World Cup. But there is a question as to, do you have the right collection of players? It's not the best players, it's the best collection of players. And who knows, maybe someone like Sebastian Berhalter comes in and is just simple and is predictable in the most positive sense and provides Pochettino with something that's not sexy, but gets the results that you need. And I think that from a Pochettino perspective, if there is to be success next summer, it's not going to be in a romantic version. It's not going to be sexy. And maybe we will see it, and it will come to be viewed as a different type of sexy, or a new type of sexy, or he's bringing sexy back that used to be sexy a long time ago. And who knows, maybe someone like Berhalter is that. All of that is to say is yes, I would certainly bring him in and see what he looks like in those surroundings.
Tigres Cruz Azul finished 1-1 first leg. Rotondi and Sanchez with the goals. That tie will be decided Thursday night in Mexico City. To hop back to Inter Miami for a second, as Messi was walking off the field at BC Place, somebody held up a Ronaldo jersey to taunt him, and Messi looked at the guy and pointed at him and said, "We'll see what happens next week."
Oh, don't poke
so
the bear.
You've got a fired up Messi.
Don't poke the bear. I mean, and now he's rested. And so we're going to see. It could be. It could be a long night ultimately for Vancouver. Vancouver's really just got to play this smart, and they have the quality to be able to do that. But man, oh man, if you got a pissed off Messi on your hands, look out.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.